From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
All right, we are here. It is Friday. It is time for the premier sports betting show with the one and only Pop DBICD Primetime Capper, and this is the Primetime Angles Live. And today we have our Wednesday guy, but he's here with us on Friday to talk about the Final Four and to talk about all things in the world that have to do with sports. So pretty much, my man Mike Abadir, it joins us today. I really need to get the round of applause for you as well, too. You know, we got to get that. The mix is on the way, but we want to get a round of applause for you real quick, too. So you know that you very welcome to the show. How you doing today, brother?
Man, it is a good Friday. It is Good Friday. He is risen. The Lord is risen. I am so happy to be with you. It's a Good Friday also because I got the Orioles and Red Sox on one screen. I got Keeneland in another screen. This is Sports Haven. Got baseball going all day. We got the Final Four, March Madness. We got sports news coming everywhere. Breaking news from MLB that they're going to move the All-Star game out of Atlanta due to a large number of people who are blowing back over the new voting laws in Georgia. Man, it is just a wonderful start to our weekend, and I can't wait for each and every moment, man.
I know, and you know what? And it's a big weekend in LA because you know you got UCLA in the Final Four, and then you know you pretty much got Gonzaga playing the role of the undefeated Titans of the game right now. So we got a lot to talk about when we come up on that topic. But up first, let's go ahead and jump into it, Mike. Let me go ahead and up first, let's go ahead and talk about this crazy situation that's happening right now. The Chargers possibly can be getting sold very soon due to a family feud right now. From what I'm seeing, the sisters in here right now looking for legal injunctions and things of that nature to force Big Brother to go ahead and sell the team. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I've got a little bit of familiarity with the family.
Okay.
Originally from Northern California, Central Valley, grew up in Modesto, and the Spanoses are from nearby Stockton. Right?
Modesto.
Yeah. And the Spanoses are from nearby Stockton, which is just right up the road, basically. And so I know the Spanos family, particularly the grandson, Dimitri, who's a fellow lawyer as well. I've been in their luxury suite for a game, which was an absolute delight. Nothing better than sitting in an owner's suite with the owner watching his team, their team, play NFL football on Sunday Night Football. But what I'll tell you is this has kind of been a long time in the making. I think there's been a lot of disagreement within the organization dating back to even, you know, do you leave the loyal fan base in San Diego and get lured by a new stadium in Los Angeles, all the way through, you know, how to maybe handle certain legendary players that they've had, and on through this most recent feud right now. I don't know if this is going to end well, Pop. I'm not sure it's going to end well. I think there's too big of a rift now to be able to fix it. And it's kind of a shame because I'm kind of a fan of these families like the Rooneys, Al Davis and Mark Davis and people like that own these franchises. It's a lot better than a corporate franchise, in my opinion. I like it when it just gets passed down. It just got tradition, you know? or the Maras in New York with the New York Giants, etc. So if they break this up, you'll probably end up seeing 1,000 investors with a couple of headliners, maybe A-Rod, maybe Magic Johnson, Tiger Woods, one of those types. Like I said, I'd like to see the family be able to work it out and keep it, but I'm not very confident.
Well, my 2 cents on it is like this. I feel like it's 5 years too late. And when they were talking about LA and when they had that billionaire owner who was not billionaire owner, but they had a billionaire in place to buy the Chargers or get a part of the Chargers and actually fund the stadium. And Spanos didn't want to hear nothing about that. And I felt like maybe you should have just went ahead and sold out while your fans are over here complaining, while everybody's over here wanting you out. Just go ahead and give it up, because the thing is, this team belongs right where they've been established at for the last 60 years in San Diego. Now they're up in here in LA. They're a team with no home now. And I think what happens here is that if I was one of the people in the family like this, if we're going to sell the team, we're only going to sell it to somebody who's going to take the team back to San Diego. How about that idea? And
I think that's a good idea. I don't think they've built any kind of following here, Pop.
No, at all. And the funny part,
have you seen a single Charger flag? Anything Charger related, I haven't really seen it. I mean, I think it's even tough enough for the Rams, let alone the Chargers.
Right.
And the Rams have at least history here, and they've won. They've gone to a Super Bowl at least since they've been here. But I don't know, man. I think it is the San Diego Chargers.
Right. There's no getting past that. Every time they announce their team, somebody slips up, says San Diego.
Yep.
They never give them the credit of being in Los Angeles. They always feel like maybe they're just playing in a brand new stadium 3 hours away from where they usually play at.
Yep.
And I think that what we can do here is you can go ahead and you can set San Diego up in a sense to where if they don't go back until the stadium's ready to roll, right? And then you just hang out in LA for a little bit, try to get yourself some good wins and things of that nature, get back home, because I'm telling you like this, they desperately need each other. The Raiders didn't need Oakland. They just pretty much had to settle for it when they had to go back from LA. You know what I mean? Al had ran out of patience with Los Angeles. I always say that Al ran out of patience with his pretty girlfriend and went back over to his old lady, who he knows he can tell what to do. But then she came with some new rules when he got back home. And see, this is what messed up. And she had a lot of promises for him, but those promises were only to get him to come back home.
Yeah, exactly right.
To come with that. And so now you got to live back in this raggedy house, and you was over here about to get a mansion in Los Angeles, but now you got to go back over to your little 4-bedroom over at Alameda. So,
exactly right. And here, look, man, there's only 4 teams in the NFL, arguably, that can move anywhere and draw fans.
Right.
And that's the Raiders, the Packers, the Steelers, and the Cowboys.
I agree.
Those are 4 teams that have the biggest national following. To contrast that, if Seattle Seahawks were to move to Minnesota or something, it would be, there would be no love. They're very loved in Seattle in the Pacific Northwest, but beyond the local, perimeters, if you want to say, there's not going to be a lot of interest. And the Chargers experienced that, man. And it's not even the thing about naming rights. I mean, they could have called them the SoCal Chargers and it wouldn't have mattered. They could have called them the San Diego Chargers of LA and it wouldn't have mattered. They wanted them in San Diego at Jack Murphy Stadium, at Qualcomm Stadium, at Petco Park, at new San Diego State Aztec Stadium. Doesn't matter. They wanted them in San Diego. And keep in mind something, Pop. They have a lot of fans in Mexico, in Tijuana, Ensenada. A lot of those border areas have Charger fans, So they gave up a whole region for LA, and LA, quite frankly, doesn't really care so much about the Rams, the Chargers, the NFL even. Not to say that there are NFL fans here, It's just not a passionate city for football. You know,
Hey.
LA is passionate for the Lakers and the Dodgers and sometimes USC, and that's it.
Right. He's so right about that. And look, this is the thing I'm going to say before we move on to the next topic as well, too. You see this hat on my head. Raiders took Vegas as the second option. It's almost like, the Raiders are like saying more. But then, you got Vegas over here, this young Tenderoni, like, hey, I like you too, and you spending some time with me. I always love in Vegas is always an option as well, too. And, Mark Davis, when they told him no in Los Angeles, he said, okay, I can have my way in Las Vegas. And he got rid of Shelly Alderson quickly as a somewhat of a secret partner because that was going to be a corporate takeover, and he caught that quickly. And he's been able to take his time, and he got his team to Las Vegas. I always feel like what Spanos and crew did was they jumped in the way of the Raiders returning to Los Angeles. They could have easily made a deal with the Rams to play in Hollywood Park, and it would have been really a 25-year wait because that was exactly what they were trying to do in the first place when the Raiders did get the Hollywood Park location. So I always feel like the Chargers really just jumped in the way because they just got a real rivalry with the Raiders. We want to make some money too. You know what I mean? And it's like you don't understand. You're making up money. You're just not good with things that are just the way it is.
It's almost like they took the rivalry a little bit too far, Pop. I think they did. I think you nailed it, man. I think they did it intentionally to
you didn't have
block
plans of moving to Los Angeles.
The Raiders.
But you just jumped up because you didn't want them there.
Exactly. I don't know if we could say the 4-letter word that starts with C, but they C-blocked the heck out of the Raiders. And they did it because they've got this fierce rivalry, and they've always been the inferior little brother of the Raiders, and they weren't going to let them make that move. The thing is, let me tell you this, man. There's only 2 reasons why Mark Davis was even interested in LA in the first place. I think ultimately they are where they wanted to be in Vegas. The only reasons for LA are twofold. Number one, there's history here. They've won a Super Bowl here, and they've got a lot of fans here.
Right.
The second reason is because, believe it or not, there are not a lot, but there's still a few people in the organization that never left LA and commute back and forth to Oakland. When I worked for the Raiders, it was still kind of fresh because I was there in the late 90s and they moved in the mid 90s. And there were a handful of senior administration front office people that did the commute. They had their homes in LA and they'd fly up Monday through Friday during the off season. And then during the season, they stayed there pretty much full time. And a lot of these people stayed at the Oakland Hilton, which is right by the airport there. That's where the visiting teams stay. They lived there, out of there, basically, when they're at work.
Right.
The legendary Al Locasal, Al Davis's right-hand man. Al Locasal can be seen in a lot of the old NFL films footage. He actually scouted Ken Anderson, great quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals in the 70s and early 80s. He scouted Joe Montana. He's discovered a lot of great quarterbacks. He helped Al Davis, pluck Dan Pastorini and Kenny Stabler. And man, they need to have like a documentary about him specifically. But I was the young buck, and I would give him a ride every day to the Oakland Hilton because that's where he lived. Because his family, his wife and kids were in LA. And so I give him a ride every day after work, and I'd pick him up. And I use those 10 minutes each direction as an opportunity to really pick his brain because the man, God rest his soul, was almost as legendary as Al Davis himself. So anyways, I know I've gone on a tangent there, but I just wanted to establish how firm some of the roots are in LA. And I think that's one of the big reasons that they were like, okay, LA should be our first choice. But I think they are where they wanted to be. The Raiders are renegades.
Right.
They're the rebels. They're the cast-offs, the misfits. they're the guys in the 70s who would, beat you upside the head while smoking cigarettes in the locker room, while drinking with the locals at the bars until 3 a.m. and then playing a game the next day. So for them to be in Las Vegas, it's perfect for them to be pioneers, to lead the charge into uncharted waters. It's scripted for the Raiders. And I think there's going to be a lot of upside when it comes to gambling and gambling apps and sports books and all those things. They're going to open the door for the NFL wide open when it comes to those type of revenue streams. Mark my words, it is coming.
I believe you. And I feel like I'm going to finish it with this. The Raiders are just like regular people who were crazy in the 70s, a little crazy in the 80s, kind of got better in the 90s, and then things got a little dysfunctional in the 2000s and 2010s. But then you said to yourself, you know what, I'm going to make this move, and I'm going to go to Vegas. And a lot of people are doing that in life right now, where you start off really just, it's almost like the European joke as well, too. We flushed the toilet on America. And I feel like California toilet on Las Vegas. But I love the Raiders, but pretty much all the bad boys all the folks that seem to have ill intentions are now relocating themselves to Las Vegas. So it is what it is. We ended with that, so I can make some Charger fans a little happy with that one. So
exactly.
Real quick. I'm just gonna get your thoughts real quick on yesterday's game. Blue Crew Daily. Dodgers. I think that was just champagne-itis. That was a little bit of a hangover yesterday. Come on, Turner didn't even know how to turn around. Come on, Turner's not even running around the bases. Bellinger's over here running past him and stuff. I'm like, damn, Cody, put down the swish up. Golly, put down the barn before you bat, bro. You know what I mean?
Hey, man, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. There's no bigger enemy of a starting pitcher than starting the year off in Mile High playing the Colorado Rockies. It's an ERA killer, man.
Right.
It's an ERA killer. So Kershaw is going to have to string along 4 or 5 straight starts of 7 innings, 1-run ball just to get his ERA below 4.5 or something. When you get shelled on opening day, it takes another 4 or 5 starts to correct that. But on the flip side, he got his start in Colorado out of the way, I suppose. Right. Now we'll see what Bauer can bring to the table now in Colorado. But I wouldn't be surprised if all these guys gave up a lot of runs. I think sometimes the hitting is ahead of the pitching at the start of the season. And proof of that, Pop, is how many guys you'll see that are batting .450 for the first 10 games.
Right.
Every year you see a lot of 400 hitters. So that tells you that the hitters are ahead of the pitchers. Then the pitchers kind of get into their groove. And then as the weather warms up, the power goes up through the dog days of summer.
Right. Because I always feel like the first 2 weeks of April are just extended preseason for them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Spring training, and pretty much you're getting your innings in, you're getting your time in, you're trying to get your timing down, all that good stuff. And then you got all these hungry hitters that anything that they see coming down the middle, they're gonna launch on it. You know what I mean? Because we're playing a different MLB now where they got a lot of analyticals and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. They tell them exactly what pitch to jump on and all that good stuff. So I'm not worried about Kershaw having a bad start in Colorado. It's not something I haven't seen before with him. And I think that was more of a just pageantry with putting him out there as the lead pitcher, the
number one,
is the captain of the staff and things of that nature. But let's not look at, I tell fans now, it's his job to guide the young puppies that are behind him.
Mm-hmm.
It's not his job to go up there and get 12 strikeouts a game, because Clayton Kershaw was incredible and has been incredible throughout his career.
Hall of Famer, man. Hall of Famer. Absolutely.
I haven't seen a lefty as dominant as him ever in my lifetime. I wasn't here for Sandy Koufax, but I think if you say Sandy Koufax, I think you gotta say Clayton Kershaw right after him when you think of left-handed pitchers.
No doubt about it. I mean, I think the three best Dodger pitchers of all time are Koufax, Oral Hershiser, and Clayton Kershaw.
Right, because if you give Clayton Kershaw that Brooklyn lineup over his career, he probably gets 6-7 trophies if you give him a Jackie Robinson, a Roy Campanella, and all these
Duke Snyder,
Duke Snyders of the world. No, you gave Clayton Kershaw guys like Juan Pierre, guys. Now you want to hit home runs, because I really used to love that Dodger team that had Andre Ethier, Matt Kemp, Russell Martin, all when they were young, James Loney, and the puppy of the group, the prize puppy didn't come for 3 years. It took a while for Kershaw to get into the group, because our guy used to be Chad Bills, and so now Kershaw came into the mix, and he was immediately good. So I'm like, man, he was 3 years too late in a sense as well too, with the great lineup that the Dodgers had in place. That was grown by the Dodgers. And that's why the Dodgers seem so special. And that's why I say it's so cute to look at Padres fans, because they built their team up just like the Dodgers did a decade ago. And I'm trying to get them to understand that y'all going to still have to trade these guys to be good. You know what I mean? Still gonna
That's a good point. That's a good point.
I mean?
I will say, though, some of those teams that you're talking about. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, you're absolutely right. And here's what I will tell you. I'm sorry. Oh, no. I was just going to say, you brought me down memory lane when you're talking about some of those lineups with, Kemp and Loney and Ethier and some of those guys. What I will say is, because they were able to string along, they've always been able to put a string of rookie of the year type players in the league. Not just type players, actual rookies of the year. Nobody's got more than the Dodgers franchise in the history of baseball. And so they're always churning out guys through their minor league system. That group of guys was really good and really special that you're talking about. But I thought they underachieved a little bit. I thought that team would be, winning playoff series left and right and getting to World Series. And for whatever reason, it's taken the Dodgers as a franchise a lot longer than maybe it could have or should have. And we could dissect a lot of those reasons. Because if you think about it, they've dominated the West for a decade now. I mean, pure domination. But they got one World Series ring. It's kind of reminiscent of the Atlanta Braves of the 90s. Remember those teams with Ron Gant and David Justice and, obviously the three amigos pitching-wise, Glavine, Smoltz, and Maddox. And, they had some really, really good lineups back then. That sweet swing of David Justice. His best days when he was with Halle Berry, man. Those were his best days. He should have made that last. Justice was really, really good when he was with Halle. Back to you, Pop.
Right. You right. Hey, he was really good. But all in all, we can talk about the Dodgers and back in the day with the Dodgers and their failures all day long if we want to. But we're talking about a championship team now. So,
we are.
It's different.
We are.
So pretty much expectations are much higher for the Dodgers. And it has to be that way because they got the best lineup in all of baseball. And things like that happen. Colorado's going to have a bad season. So they need highlights in the year to look, to make them feel special. You know what I mean? But let's talk about Woodson.
Let's talk about what? I'm sorry? Pop, you kind of froze up on me, brother.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
I guess I'm taking over for Pop here. I just popped in my tobacco because it's baseball time. And I'm excited about baseball. Got the Orioles and the Red Sox in the background going here, 0-0 game. We were just talking about the Dodgers and the Rockies. And Dodgers didn't get off to a great start for opening day. But now that we got Pop back, we can kind of continue onward. I was just telling your viewers I popped a dip in because I'm in that baseball mode, and I remember there was another show where there's a guy that did it, and I'm not necessarily copying him. Oh, I don't know. Are we going to commercial break here? Yep.
We were having technical difficulties, and
hey, I took over, man. It was cool. It's just me and the viewer, man. We were just talking, man. We were just having a good time. We're just celebrating opening day baseball and all the good stuff that comes with it. And I got so excited, I popped in a fat wad and ready to talk more bad boys of summer. Yeah. But I know that there are other things to talk about, including the Final Four and a lot of interesting topics and Mike Woodson hire by Indiana, et cetera, man. So you're the star of the show. Take over, buddy.
Let's jump into it, though. Let's talk about Mikey Woodson right now and his impact that's going to be done. That's going to be there at Indiana. Do you think this was a good hire?
Interesting hire. I'll be honest with you. I know more about his NBA background than what his collegiate background is. I don't know if he's even coached at the collegiate level or, better said, recruited, because I think that's the name of the game. He's got credibility, though, right? Right. Because he's worked with LeBron. He's worked with all the big stars. He was with Golden State during their championship time period. He's rubbed elbows and coached the best players in the NBA for a long time now. So that credibility goes a long way. When I have somebody in my living room with my 5-star prospect, and I got this guy in my living room here who could tell me stories about LeBron and Steph Curry and all these fantastic NBA players, where that kid probably wants to end up. I think Mike Woodson will command the attention of any prospect's families, any of the decision makers. This guy's polished. He's NBA polished. So, yeah, I think it's a good hire by Indiana. It's a little bit risky, though, because what happens when Steve Kerr decides to step down or retire and Golden State calls him back up?
Well,
right? Or Lakers, let's just say, for whatever reason, there's a split up, bad marriage, whatever. I mean, it happens. Phil Jackson left. Others have left. If there's an opening, does he leave? Or is he committed to this thing for the next 10 years and beyond? He must have made them feel really, really good about that. He must have made the regents of the university feel really good that he was in it for the long haul, and he's not going to leave if the NBA comes calling. I think that's the only way you give him the job, right?
Well, and also, he's alumni. He's a part of the last undefeated team ever. He was a part of that group in '76, and he was there with Isaiah early in Isaiah's career as well too. So he's a Bobby Knight soldier, and that's what they want. But they don't want a Bobby Knight type. They want somebody who's cool like Mike Woodson, who can go in and it smooths families and bring in the prospects that they want on a national scale and to recruit within the state as well too. There's still good players in the state of Indiana, and
No doubt.
this is the biggest problem with college basketball at this point in time. The coaches aren't going in there and getting the in-state superstars. You got to get the in-state superstars. Reason why UCLA is looking real good and Mick Cronin can coach this team up is because they got in-state superstars on the team. You got Johnny Juzang, Harvard Westlake. You got Jules Bernard, who's from Los Angeles. You have Cody Riley, also from Los Angeles as well too. So you have most of the team is from the state of California. And so pretty much that works out very well. But then you throw in a little mix there with a guy from Indiana or Iowa like Tiger Campbell. You know what I mean? And, you throw in maybe a little Texas guy or something. But you don't overlap the team with too many out-of-state prospects. That's what's going wrong with schools like Duke and schools like Kentucky right now because they're recruiting way too many out-of-state guys. And they're not digging into getting the best of the best within the state first. You know what I mean? A lot of Duke players did come from back east, Jersey, New York, and things like that. But they're core players, the guys that are going to stick around for 4 years. They from Durham and they're from Charlotte and places like that. Brandon Ingram is not too far away. He's from a place that's not too far away from Durham. You know what I mean? He's another North Carolina kid. So you have to keep recruiting within the state. And that's where Indiana is kind of messed up at in a sense as well, too, where they stop recruiting the top players within their state. And that's what you have to do. You have to get those. You have to get the top. If you're the top university in that state, you got to get the top 3 players to go to your university. That's exactly what USC did by getting Evan Mobley and the other recruits that came with Evan Mobley as well too. That's why USC looks so good, and that's why they're going to be looking so good moving forward as well too, because they're going to keep that approach. And I think that's exactly what you got to do when you're a major college franchise. I'm going to call them a franchise because that's exactly what they are, because it's team and then it's school. So pretty much when you have that, you have to make sure your core guys are from within the state, because those are your leaders. And those are the guys you can depend on to be there till their senior year and actually graduate from the school as well too.
You make a lot of really good points, man. I completely agree with you. And, once again, you got to win the battle of your own state if you're going to win the battle of playing against all the top teams in the nation. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to bang every year in the conference tourney like they did when Bobby Knight was there.
Right.
And we could have a whole show about Bobby Knight. I'm actually a big fan of the guy. I know his ways were dated. His methods are no longer prescribed. But what he instilled in guys was tremendous. Every year they graduated at amongst the top percentage in the country. They produced NBA players. They produced good young men. Very few people cared about these kids like Bobby Knight did. He was just a really tough dad and sometimes got a little bit physical. But I didn't hear a lot of parents complaining necessarily either. It kind of came with the territory. Like, you're going to get success, just play with Bobby Knight. And by and large, even the alums from that region, if you don't make it to the NBA, you've got a job in that network for life.
Right.
So there's a give and take, right?
Right, exactly. And with the way that guys are getting recruited now, they're not going to get guys who are from the streets anymore. They're going to get guys who are second, third generation basketball players. Your dad played in the NBA for 15 years and all this good stuff, or your mom was a track star somewhere down the road. But
good
it's no
sports
more
pedigree.
Right. It's no more, let's go get Allen Iverson. Let's go ahead and go get a Darius Miles. It's no more walking onto the playground and getting a kid anymore. It's a big business. And if you can't get a part of that big business, then you're not going to be in the NBA. It's just that simple. unless somebody really, really has a connection and they really believe in you and you become a lifetime movie of the week. But other than that, you're not going to get too much out of that, out of it. But one last thing I want to say about college hoops as well, too, is that, you know, some of these schools are not thinking about if you notice it, a lot of people don't know who the best players in the nation are right now because they have this situation in place where guys want to get paid for their likeness. So now I think the media has pretty much been told to not romanticize these guys anymore. Do you notice that there hasn't been any big stories about who's going to go top 5 in the draft this year or anything like that?
In fact, I would say that
they're not trying to see you get paid.
In fact, I would say that a vast majority of sports fans outside of the diehard college basketball fans can name more than 5 players outside of their favorite team. They have done no national marketing. It's like if you're a fan of USC or UCLA, you know your team, and you maybe know a couple of guys on the rival team, but you don't know anybody in the ACC, maybe the best guy or something. And I think that's the case for most average sports fans outside of the diehard college basketball fans. So I think that is kind of a problem. I think it's very obvious what's going on, at least in football. Year in, year out, you have 2 things that help these guys, which is number one, there's a lot of awards, starting with, of course, the Heisman Trophy. So you're always talking about 10 guys right out of the gate because of the Heisman Trophy, including 3 or 4 favorites. And then you don't even have to try, but the quarterback of every team is always going to get some recognition and publicity, you know? So yeah, I agree with you, man. I think these guys are getting shortchanged a little bit. It's intentional. It's the big C word, collusion.
Right.
So that they don't have to pay these guys.
Right, but the thing is, though, I'm with the old guard about paying players in college. I just feel like you go to college to go to college, right? But I know that the players do help with a lot of the money that comes into the university, but it's not all of the money that comes into the university at the same time, too. And then I always feel like you'll be overlooking guys, people that 20 years from now are going to be the people that might be giving you $200-300 million endowments that you guys are chasing all the time. And that guy didn't play a lick of basketball. He didn't play a lick of football. He just was a student at the school who loves the school, and he wants something named after him. So what happens when you start catering so much to them and then forgetting about the other people who are really in school working truly very, very hard while this guy's over here, oh, well, I'm still going to the NBA. So it's not a big deal to me to just take $30,000 and go get all the Jordans in the world so I can put them on the ground. You know what I mean? I'm just asking, what are you going to do with the money? That's my biggest question. And then everybody says, well, I'm going to help my family. But we don't have guys on the team anymore going to college that really don't have 2-parent homes anymore. We still got the single families and the people with the dramatic stories and everything like that. And that's understandable. But there are people that are supporting them actually do work, and they do have people supporting this situation. You know what I mean? It's not like where you're going to school and you're leaving the projects and you can't go back. Because if you go back, you're not coming back. You're not going back to the university. No, these guys go back. They go over there. They get treated very well, and they're taken into these communities. And so pretty much they're already getting paid with that as well too. I've seen how college athletes are treated compared to regular students. I was there for it. You were there for it as well too, Mike. A college guy can come live in somebody who's a big fan's house if they want to. And nobody will say a word. But if a student who's getting a 4.2 and he's in the same situation as him, he had to work just as hard as to get into school, but he's on a partial scholarship, he's looking for somewhere to stay, that family would be like, well, you know, there's always a room at the YMCA. Why don't you have anything going on in the dorm? And this guy is a guy that could possibly be the next big endowment, the next big donation to the school 10-15 years down the road when he's seen his success and thanks to school for his success. You're not going to get the same thing with these athletes. The athletes are always going to think about themselves. You're going to have to talk them into something like that. You feel what I'm saying? I'm just talking about how the brain works.
But here's the thing. My main counter to that, Pop, is this. Everybody that's in college presumably is, studying to advance their business opportunities in life.
Right.
Be able to make money. And so when they graduate, they've got a degree and, you shop your services around. With a lot of these players, though, they actually, let's be honest here, they have to sacrifice their education to be able to play football or basketball.
Right.
You're going to have to sacrifice it. I mean, look at these guys in the tourney. How much schooling have they gotten done since the beginning of March or even before the conference tournaments? Right. They probably haven't even been to a class, even online. So, I mean, they're sacrificing even their education in order to play and make the school boatloads of money. My solution to all of it is I agree with you. I don't think that it's right for a student athlete to have a closet full of 50 pairs of Jordans. What I say is you pay them after they're done with their eligibility, but you save up the money for them. So there's like a fund, right? And you do it per game.
Right.
Why per game? That way, if somebody does something stupid and gets suspended or uses drugs or gets arrested or whatever, you don't get paid for that. Right. So, in football, if you have 14 games and you're eligible for all 14 games, you get whatever, $5,000. And you get it after your eligibility is over. Right? So, by the time you're 24, you may have banked already, $25,000, $30,000 or something like that to help you kind of get started in life. I don't think it should be something that gets you rich, but I think it's something that at least helps you get going because it's going to take those guys a lot longer to get going without having a real emphasis on schooling. Got to make up for it somehow.
I agree. And I think that at the end of the day, it will figure itself out. The NFL has it absolutely correct. You have to be done. You have to do 3 years before you get to the NFL. You have to be a big boy before you get to the NFL. They don't want any little kids. But the NBA has to fix this whole high schooler, we need to take you in right now, we need to coddle you situation. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, what happens when that 18-year-old can't muster, and it's just this is way too much for him. Literally, that's all of them except for the exceptions. KG, Kobe, LeBron, even Dwight Howard in a sense as well too. These guys.
I thought LeVar Ball's Big Baller League was supposed to take care of that.
Right.
Well, all these guys are going to skip college and come play in the Big Baller League.
Well, you know what? When they threw out the ball the first game, and you knew it was going to be a big problem. This is why these guys aren't getting recruited by colleges, because you don't run back on defense. You don't play defense. Mm-hmm. Then you play bad offense. And then it's just it was an array of things. And these guys were guys that were thrown away after they were done in high school. So that's why the league did not look that good. You know what I mean? So pretty much, you're over here trying to help people who just couldn't get their grades together to be in college. So, at the end of the day, don't do the same job that the community college is already doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Good point.
Time. But let's get into what the big boys is doing. We've went so far over. We're going to just jump right into the Final Four, man. So pretty much here we are, UCLA. I'm sorry, Houston and Baylor first. And you see the screen. I'm going to take Baylor with the 5.5 here. I think Baylor's going to absolutely crush in this game. Houston played nothing but double-digit seeds, a 15, a 10, 11, and a 12. That does not warrant to me a team that's going to win a national championship. That warrants to me a team that's going to get blown out by the team that's supposed to win a national championship. What are your thoughts on that, Mike?
Yeah, I completely agree. Look, the best two teams, consistency-wise, play-wise, competition-wise, really are Baylor and Gonzaga. I think that they've really, they stand out in my opinion. I think Baylor's a superior team to Houston. Houston's had a nice run. Baylor's got the resume. and I think that they're going to steamroll over these guys and get to the championship game. I agree with you. I think the play here, the side here, is Baylor minus 5.5.
Yeah, and they're handing us. I feel like it's kind of gold in a sense because I know they want to give Houston a chance because you have that better out there that's like, I think they can do it. You see how good that defense is. I say, yeah, they're really good against teams that they were supposed to beat. But you know what? I look back to the Oregon State game and see Oregon State was down 17 points. And I'm not going to say easily came back, but it wasn't tough for them to come back in that game because you had a team that was missing free throws, missing layups, turning over the ball because they pretty much got comfortable. But they were able to tighten up and get the win in the end. But still, as a coach, that you go back into your next game, that's not going to work against Baylor. And I just know that this isn't anything that they're going to attempt to do probably won't work against Baylor because Baylor, after the way they put the smack down on Villanova, I was convinced at that point that, you know what, this team is too tough at this point, and little teams that have flaws to them aren't going to be able to beat them. And Houston has flaws, so we're going to see how it shakes out, and we go from there. Now let's go ahead and jump into the game of the night, the nightcapper, the greatest to ever do it when it comes to winning national championships in college basketball. Number 11 UCLA, and then the number 1 team overall, Gonzaga. But I'm going to have to go ahead and take UCLA with that plus 14 simply because this team is riding high right now. And I feel like this is going to be one of those movie endings where the team you're rooting for doesn't win, but they make the game so close that you felt like they won just because they were able to put down a great effort against such a great team. And isn't it only right if Gonzaga beats UCLA that they beat the team that's won the most national championships on their way to quite possibly their first national championship, which I think is going to actually happen if they are going to get past UCLA here. But UCLA is going to need 3 Hail Marys. They're going to need Jesus to probably come down and assistant coach with Cronin. I don't know what it's going to take to beat Gonzaga, but the Gonzaga is a team of a lifetime, and this is Mark Few's team of a lifetime. What are your thoughts?
100% agree with you, man. Big props to Mick Cronin. Obviously, his brother Dan Keeneland. Dan is a friend of the Mike Abadir show, is a friend of all of ours. Great guy, great ambassador for horse racing as well. Dan is the brother of Mick, of course, and we've seen some shots of him and the father in the stands getting all excited about Mick and deservedly so. You know,
Nick's just on the court. Hep is coaching this, right? Coaching UCLA.
I know, man. I know.
It's so intense.
It really is, man. He's really, really into it, and it's cool to see. But look, man, Gonzaga has a very special team. I think it's going to be one of those teams that they look back on amongst some of the greatest of all time. I know that's kind of lofty and it seems like the recency bias, but they're really that good, man. They've won 30 in a row, right? Yep. They're 30-0, and they're doing it by annihilating their competition, man. You know, they beat SC by 19. They beat Creighton by 18. They beat OU by 16, right? Their first round game, of course, 1 versus 16, whatever. I mean, they won that by like 43 or something. But man, the closest game, I mean, if you look at the schedule, I mean, they've blown out just about everybody. You know, a close game is like a 10-point game. So, and the thing about them is this, they can actually play a little defense, but their offense is just way too high-powered, man, averaging almost 92 points a game. Nobody comes close to that, man. So that means you got to stop the team means you got to stop a lot of scorers, and there's just too many good scorers on that team, man. I think Gonzaga wins, and I know 14 is a lot of points, but I think they actually cover, Pop.
Man, I'm telling you right now, UCLA, I have this feeling that UCLA is going to be right there because they have the players that are capable of having a big Juzang. Jules can get if Jules can get going. Dave Singleton has shown that he can be a sniper. And it's just got to be timely. If UCLA can play the same defense they played against Michigan, all bets are off. Think about it. But I don't know if but I know one thing. Gonzaga is not like Michigan. Michigan was blowing layups left and right. Gonzaga, if they get a layup, and it can even be somebody right there, they have the mental fortitude to make that shot. And I've noticed that about Gonzaga. It's not just about, pretty much playing the pick and rolls. It's about how they finish. They finish the job. That's the thing. And the way that Time plays, he plays fearless. So when you got a big man playing fearless, and then you got a guy in Suggs that can just do it all, it's really the perfect storm for the greatest moment of your franchise, of your university. Because I'm telling you, they've been looking like that one shining moment since we started this tournament. And you just keep looking at the one shining moment song, and you just keep picturing Gonzaga being there. That's my whole thing.
Man, you make some good points. Your analysis is rock solid. Yeah. I'm hoping that UCLA keeps it close. Just as a sports fan, as a fan for the Cronin family, and they've just been such a great story. It's always cool to see an 11 seed, make a great run through the playoffs. It was fun to see VCU do it a few years back. Wichita State has had a good run over the years. Any of these teams that are not projected to be amongst the top that get through this very difficult tournament, it's fun to see it. And I think that UCLA is an interesting one because they're not like a VCU or a Wichita State. This is the team that's got the most banners up in the rafters of any team in college basketball. So it's kind of interesting that they're the underdog, but they were a big underdog going into this series. The Pac-12 was a big underdog as a conference going into this, I call it series, but into this tournament. And the Pac-12 as a whole outperformed any other conference. So I'm rooting for UCLA, but I think Gonzaga wins this one by 22. I think they make it a no-doubter that they're going to the finals.
I got you. All right, so pretty much with that, Mike, it's always a pleasure having you on the show with me. And, man, hopefully we can get you back next Wednesday, but we'll get you back sometime next week.
Man, I always love being on the show. I appreciate it, Pop. And have a tremendous sports weekend. Enjoy it. And then for those who celebrate Easter, happy Easter, everyone. But this is going to be a fun weekend, man. Santa Anita Derby as well. Let's not forget about that. We have to talk horse racing one of these days.
Oh, yeah. I'll bring you on the horsing around because when I get done with this, probably after I get the computer charged up and everything like that, about to record horsing around for the Santa Anita Derby tomorrow. And you'll see who I got on the for the Santa Anita Derby, the Oaks, all that good stuff. And I'm
looking forward to I'm going to check that out, Pop, because I'm going to be handicapping tonight, and I'm going to watch that while I'm handicapping.
Yeah, man, because I'm telling you right now, it's going to be some good plays. And watch out for this. It's a wide open Derby this year as well, too. Don't think that Bafford's taking you home this year because it's not. They ain't working out like that.
I'm kind of agreeing with you, man. I'm kind of agreeing with you. It might be a time that we get a price. We've had a lot of faves come in. Time for a price.
Right. So you'll see it later on who I'm rolling with. It might be a little bit of a Sadler's Joy situation.
Okay.
The other dominant trainer at Santa Anita that they don't talk about too much.
Okay. Right. I like the hint, man. As always, thank you, Pop. We'll see you next week, brother.
All right. Always a pleasure, Mike. You have a great weekend. I'll be back and forth with you, and I send that card over to you as well, too.
No doubt, brother.
All right. So with that, you guys check out HatClub.com. You guys go ahead and get your $50 order, and you guys will be able to get yourself 10% off with the link in the show description. So that is the www.hatclub.com. With that, we will be right back with Talkin Tickets. And pretty much it is what it is. This is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles Live.
Pick your horses and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right, we are back and we are on the stretch drive of the show right now. And let's go ahead and get into talking tickets. And up first, we got the MLB PrimeTime PK6, and we got a pretty good number on this one as well, too. So we got a 67-1 ticket. I got the Rays with the -105. Then I'm going to rock with the Dodgers with the over 12 here in Denver. Then we got the White Sox with the +100, and we have the A's with the -1.5. So they got to win by 2 runs or better. And then we have the Diamondbacks who can lose by 1 run or less. Pretty much they can go ahead and win this game, and we can still cash the ticket. But if they lose by 1, we cash this ticket as well too. And then we have the under 8.5 with the Giants and the Mariners. Last night the Mariners did get a big comeback as well too. They were down 5-0, wound up winning the game 8-7. So that goes to show you what Mike was talking about, that the pitching is behind the hitting right now, and you'll get games just like that early in the season. So pretty much that's the MLB Primetime Pick 6, 67-1, single what you like. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the NBA primetime. Super high five, and we got the 36-1 right now. It's going to be the under 224.5 with the Warriors and the Raptors, and then we have the Knicks money line +190, and also the over 219.5 with the Hornets and the Pacers, and the Pelicans money line -135, and the -3 to the Bucks as well too. So this is going to give us a 36-1 ticket right here, and we'll see how it shakes out and single what you like here as well too. So as my man Mike said earlier, it's going to be a sports extravaganza this weekend. There's a lot of good games going on. There's a lot of good stories developing as well too. So you guys be on the lookout, and you guys be on the lookout today for the Horsing Around Santa Anita Derby Day special as well too. All going to be covering all the stakes race for tomorrow, and all the big money races that they have on deck as well too. So pretty much with that, you guys already know I told you a big announcement was coming, and pretty much this is what's going to be happening. We are about to launch a TV network through Stream TV, and you guys, I'm telling you right now, it's about to be something huge. So if you do want to get a part of it and you have some content that you think you can bring to the table, hit me up. We'll go ahead and review it, and we'll see if we can bring you in as a partner or something of that nature to go ahead and move forward with. But there are some things that we're still working out and everything like that, but we will be launching the network in the next few weeks, and the name of it will be Prime Wave TV. So be on the lookout for that. And so with that, as I always say, bet with your head, not with your heart. This is the premier sports betting show with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.